Hello everybody, we're here back with another review and discussion about an anime in the fall of 2017. Today we're doing Black Clover. Bring it off with Duncan.
Very dear to all of our hearts, am I right?
Yeah. By the recording of this, episode 6 of the series has come out.
It has been a manga series that's been going on since 2015.
Yep.
So it's had quite a bit of time to get some source material. But despite that, how does it actually fare covering the source material?
It's a lot of screaming and a lot of filler. That's all it is.
That's a pretty good description of what we've seen so far. We're like, you get to episode 4, and you already are at the end of like chapter 2.
And that's it.
You already have like a 50% filler ratio there, which is a terrible start for a series. But
because episode 2 and 3 are all filler, which is
pretty much all filler, yeah.
Because it's like backstory of a past that we could have already figured out.
We could have at least gotten that backstory at a different point. It didn't need to happen there.
Yeah.
But they were doing that so they could pad it out. And let's talk about this a little bit. First of all, the first thing that you're going to notice when watching Black Clover is it's very cliche.
Yeah.
Anyone who is a fan of the series will not deny, even fans will go, okay, well, it gets better later on, but they will accept that it is cliche,
Yeah.
And I think there's no really denying that, and it's not necessarily cliches that make it bad, but
because you could have cliches and then do a small twist on it, and then it becomes amazing.
Or you just at least execute it really well.
Yeah, like with My Hero Academia, there was a cliche where we have, someone who had no powers, but then they added a twist where, it made our main character super likable and everyone loves him. And, all this.
My Hero Academia is a show that uses cliches as a framework, which is, I honestly think that's the way to go. These tropes and cliches, they're put in place for a reason because they have some form of success to them.
Yeah.
And My Hero Academia is a show that really kind of uses those as more of a framework rather than an actual way to drive the story.
But with Black Clover, here's the cliche and that's it. They don't do anything with it.
That's honestly, but it's not. I agree. But it's also not only do they not really add anything original with it, they don't execute it as effectively either because of the time they take to expand on the series with the filler. It does more harm than good for it, and it just really it's not executed well by the end of the day. At
the end of the first episode, we have this very small villain, and he
just like with any other shonen.
Yeah, just like with any other shonen, he's really small, and he's not no one talks about him anymore. But
he's just a one-off villain.
He was just so cliche. It was very boring because he was oh, I'm crazy and I laugh and all this type of different tropes. It was what's the point,
Yeah, I agree. You go into pretty much any long-running shonen, and almost all of them start off their first episode with some sort of one-off villain that's very one-dimensional, but their real purpose there is to fulfill a plot device in order to get us to care about our main character.
Other characters.
Because we gotta get a good idea of who our character is. I think at least Black Clover does that to an extent, but not in the best way possible, because Asta is incredibly annoying. In fact, I would argue he's probably a lot more annoying than Naruto was in his first episode.
Yeah, for sure.
At least I didn't want to strangle Naruto for yelling all the time.
Yeah.
Asta has just got the voice of a diseased seagull.
I mean, they make a joke about it where it's in the last 2 episodes where it's the captain's shut up.
Well,
he's saying everything what the audience is
I almost kind of like that, but I know that's not necessarily something for them to be proud of. I know that everybody's oh, well, his voice is supposed to be annoying, but it shouldn't be that annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes my ears bleed.
Yeah, well, it's because the voice actor's brand new and everything.
Yeah.
But it's also the company's fault because they allowed something like that to pass. It's oh, that's okay.
That's not, I agree, it's definitely a problem with the voice actor, but you can't pin it all on the voice actor because you realize an anime is a massive project that's conducted by a whole team of people. So it's not just the voice actor doing that. It's the director and all of the people who are editing the sound that gave the okay to say, hey,
That's fine.
yeah, sound more like a diseased seagull.
Yeah.
In this one particular line.
If you really want to watch the series, I guess you can watch the dubbed, which is a lot better on the ears, but it still doesn't save
you're
it.
And that's going to be a deterrent to some people anyways, because some people are just sub purists.
Yeah.
And I'm not a sub purist.
I'll watch a dub if I really want to.
Dub or sub, I don't care. I just want it to be done well, and I like both dub and sub. But this is something, if you really are going to watch it in dub. You're just going to be in for a bad time with the sub.
Well, still, that's not gonna save you from the bad pacing it's been going through.
The voice acting is only one problem with this series, but it's something that I think is the most inescapable from even the most hardcore fans.
It's the easiest thing that you could fix.
It's the easiest thing to point out too. Yeah. But we already touched on the pacing briefly with. It's where there's way too much filler, but it's also just that how the series structures itself with the pacing, not necessarily just with filler, but it sets itself up for a bad way of introducing its characters. I mentioned a little bit earlier that the goal of a first episode, you need to get up especially for a long-running show, you need to get people to care about your characters, because you're going to be in for a long run, right?
Yeah, because this series is going to have 51 episodes.
51 episodes, and that's not even covering the entire series. That's just, for what they have right now.
Yeah, and I really don't care about Asta. For the biggest thing is,
he's cliche, but he hasn't brought anything to the table either.
Yeah, right? All he has is physical,
What does he want to be?
Attributes. Yeah? The Wizard King, and it's
that sounds very similar to either the Hokage or the
King of Pirates.
And granted, they aren't exactly the same, but again, you could also say, well, this is in a magical medieval setting. It's still very reminiscent of Fairy Tail. The difference is Fairy Tail does not have the characters seeking to become the best of the best necessarily, but you already you're not doing an original setting. You don't have an original goal for your protagonist.
Yeah.
It all just feels like an amalgamation of these various shonen tropes thrown together in a setting that's sort of a little more original, because it takes a more medieval take on magic than Fairy Tail, but at least Fairy Tail's magic system was more lively.
Mm-hmm.
Let me talk...
I want to say this though, even if the end goal is cliche, it's not the end goal that should matter. It's the journey to the end goal. That's the biggest thing.
It's not the journey.
With My Hero Academia, the end goal for Deku is #1 hero. But the journey we've seen through it's fucking amazing. It's the journey that does it. It's not the end goal.
Well, here's the cool thing about that. Deku's goal is also just a bit more nuanced, because when Deku starts off the series, he doesn't have the goal of becoming the greatest hero ever. We know he's going to become one.
Yeah.
He says it himself in the narration that he's going to become the greatest hero ever.
Yeah.
But his goal from the beginning is he wants to save people.
Yeah.
And then he just happens to be taken up by the greatest superhero ever to become his successor. So it's a little bit more nuanced than that.
You could say the same thing with One Piece or Naruto.
Of course, but
One Piece story journey, it's amazing.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying the point is Luffy wants to become King of the Pirates, and Naruto wants to become
the
Hokage. But at least they also have their own nuances. Naruto wants to become. Why does he want to become Hokage? Because he wants to get noticed. So there's your nuance. Why doesn't Luffy want to become King of the Pirates? Because he wants to show that he's a really good pirate to Shanks.
Yeah.
That was kind of what formed his dream.
But why does Asta want to become, the Wizard King? I don't know, because he just wants to be powerful or something.
Well, the biggest idea we have so far is he's just well, we come from a village out in the boonies, and if I could prove that I could become the Wizard King,
anyone can.
That anybody can. I feel that's
so cliche.
That doesn't give me a reason why he wants to do that. Why do you want to prove that anybody from the boonies?
I don't believe he. From what I've seen, I still don't believe he can do it. He has zero magic. All he has is physical ability.
Well,
there's nothing.
I know that he's. I don't know if he will or will not. He probably will, just because of how shonens are structured. But I will say that it's just, this is really nitpicky here, but every single time they bring up, an outsider brings up Asta or Yuno's character, they're all like, oh, you can't be a wizard, a magic knight, you're from out in the boonies, or oh, you what do you expect to do against me? I'm a noble, and you're just some nobody from the boonies. How did he do that? I thought he was just some nobody from the boonies. If I have to hear that line one more time, I'm gonna tear out my hair.
It's so annoying.
Because it feels like everybody is talking as if they were a narrator.
Yeah.
In this world, magic is everything. You're just a person out from the boonies.
Yeah.
The dialogue doesn't feel as genuine to me.
And then, like, we have Zero, like, I'm pretty sure they're never gonna talk about it, but, like, the Zero backstory, like, where they came from, they just were dropped off on each other.
They were just kind of dropped off there. I don't know, maybe we'll find that out at some point. I feel like that's also not as important, but I also don't care.
Yeah.
But
like, for some reason, I continue watching it because I have like the smallest amount of hope it gets better.
Yeah, I'm still keeping up with it
because what the plot is implying, it's interesting, but what it's executing, it is not doing it well, people.
Yeah, I'm just kind of disappointed because I actually actively was trying to like this series while watching it, and it's just it's like continuously disappointing me. Even in the latest episode 6, it's more like, okay, this seems like a discount fairy tale where they're showing off all the people and they're all crazy and they're getting into a fight in the Black Bulls Guild or whatever, and I'm like, okay, this sounds just like Fairy Tail, where they're constantly bickering, and all of these characters, they don't have these personalities so far that really stand out to me. Because they literally, once they arrive there, Yami's like, the pretty boy basically sits them all down and just
he's a good guy.
He explains all of their personalities to Asta. Which is essentially...
It's like, why don't we just learn that from just, like, them, like, talking?
You don't really have a scene like that in a show like My Hero Academia,
or like,
where they introduce the characters by literally telling the audience, this is their personality. He's a delinquent, but he's a good guy. This guy's obsessed with his sister. He's a good guy.
But the thing is, like, we can already tell just from the first, like, 5 minutes of them, like, just doing what they do. It's like, okay, we can already tell. It's like, this guy loves his sister. This girl likes sweets. This guy's a delinquent dude. Like it's
Did you really have to explain that?
I know.
It's like they think we're dumb. Huh?
I know. It's like they need us to like baby.
Yeah, they have a whole scene where they show off everybody doing these kinds of things. They could have
done like, I like it when they do character intros. Is like they show off their abilities in a really cool way, and like. And they was like,
and then maybe somebody has to explain how the ability works specifically. Yeah. But that's just because...
That's because we don't know.
It's necessary. Yeah. But for this is completely unnecessary. You could have had the characters at least introduce themselves. Huh? But no, you have literally a guy telling you what each of their character descriptions are.
Yeah.
Like, I've already compared this series a lot to My Hero Academia, but that's mostly just because of how Black Clover has been marketed. Yeah. Crunchyroll has gone out of their way to say a lot. This is the next big shonen, the next big three, and I'm sure if you know anything about shonen, you probably know about the big three, huh?
Yeah. But and first of all, this series, its rating is only, let's check, 6 out of 10.
666.
It's 6.66.
Ah, what a
fine number.
What a holy number.
What a fine number.
I feel like that's such a fitting number for it. Even looking at the manga is only rated at a 7.57. Now, don't take mouse scores as the gospel. You can take them with a grain of salt, but there are generalizations you can make based on scores at least. Like if something is a 6,
you know that it's not gonna be crazy.
It's hard to find something good.
That's a 6. Yeah.
Sometimes it can happen. Sometimes it can happen. 7s are iffy. They could go either way.
And then 8s are like, it's gonna be good.
7's like a purgatory zone almost.
Yeah.
Where just like the majority of series get thrown into 7s.
Yes. Because there's some bad series that get like a cool even 7, and then there's some really good series that get like a 7.6.
Yeah, or like Inuyashiki right now. what is has a
7.99.
Just on the fringe, but it doesn't belong there to me.
Yeah.
But and then you have the 8s, which are usually good.
They're usually
the
good.
majority of them are worth checking out.
Yeah.
And then 9s are literally like the top of the top.
Yeah.
When they made it there for a reason. So, again, now you don't have to take the score to gospel, but when something's at a 6.
Yeah, when something's at a 6,
there's definitely
something wrong
there.
with it. Yeah.
Especially for something marketing itself as the next big show.
And then what's like the rating on Crunchyroll? Let's check that out.
Well, Crunchyroll ratings I feel like are even worse because Crunchyroll ratings are done specifically by the people that are watching them.
Yeah.
You're not going to be watching Black Clover if you don't like it. Well, unless you're us. In which case, but even then, if something doesn't have like a 5-star rating on Crunchyroll...
It has a 3-star rating on Crunchyroll.
That's bad because a 5-star rating...
Wow, there's a lot more 1s than there is 5s.
That's kind of what upsets the balance. See, the thing is, the majority of series on Crunchyroll, they usually have like 5 stars because people who don't care about the series aren't going to give the time to review it, or they're just not going to watch it at all. So when something's just like really bad, it'll usually have like under 5 stars, and especially around 3 stars, you have a good idea of, wow, there are a lot of people that just actively don't like this.
Yeah.
And for good reason. And I was, we were also talking a little bit about how like this is being compared as the next big shonen.
No, it's not.
It's not. And I'm sorry, Black Clover fans, if you think so, because I really do think the manga is probably better. I think we can say that. It doesn't say, but I don't think even the manga itself
is not that good compared to all the other manga out there.
Because when I'm watching this series, I'm comparing it a lot in my head
to like all the other shonens.
Well, specifically, I'm comparing it to My Hero Academia because My Hero Academia is also one of those series that's
gaining popularity.
That's gaining popularity and vying to become like the next big shonen.
I think it has hit it.
It really kind of has. It still has its ways to go, but it's really getting on track. And also, full disclosure, My Hero Academia is my favorite series of all time, so I am a bit of a fanboy when it comes to there. I'm not going to try and hide my bias, but
let's move on back to
seriously.
Black Clover. Is there anything else we want to say about the series?
So we've talked a lot about the negatives.
Yeah, I mean there are.
Why don't we try to get some of the positives?
There's some positives. Okay. This kind of reminds me of like how
the skull in the background looks cool.
Yeah.
The big old skull near their village.
I like the character designs. I do say that the character designs and they do look really interesting. Like Asta's hair is really interesting. I like that.
For me, it's less Asta and more. I like some of the character designs they have in the Black Bulls. Like
like the delinquent's pretty cool.
His name is Magna or Magna or whatever.
Yeah.
I really like him. He looks cool.
And then there's that
Yami looks cool.
There's that goth dude.
Yami's not spectacular. He looks cool. And then you got the Marilyn Manson looking guy.
Yeah.
Gordon. I think his name is Gordon.
I don't remember.
We don't really know anything about him. He hasn't
talks
really
quietly.
He hasn't done anything, but he looks like Marilyn Manson. And I thought that was cool enough. But other than that, I
don't know because like
when I saw
you can connect every character from like the Black Bulls to a character from Fairy Tail. Like the Drunkle, there's a Drunkle in Fairy Tail. The Delinquent, there's a Delinquent in there. You know, like
there's
so many episodes. Too much.
None of these are characters that you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Also, let me just talk a little bit about Yuno.
Yeah.
Yuno, when I first saw him, without knowing anything about him, I was like, oh, he looks almost exactly like Sasuke.
He has that Sasuke vibe.
He has that Sasuke look to him, but what I did kind of like about Yuno was he's not a Sasuke copy, because Sasuke, he's just a complete asshole.
Yeah.
I really
don't
like Sasuke.
Yeah.
But he's not a straight up asshole.
He's just nice.
He's just kind of
That's a good thing about it. I mean, like
at least they didn't. If Yuno was an insufferable dickhead, I probably would not. I would like this. I would hate this series even more because then I'm like, okay, now you're exactly like Sasuke.
Yeah. It's like me trying to talk about good things about the series. It kind of reminds me of there's a guy on the Game Grumps, Aaron, and he's like he hates like a lot of the 3D Legend of Zeldas. Like let's say like Skyward Sword. he hates it so much and he rants about it a lot. I think he has like a video about it, but like he's like, there are good things I could say about it, but why? Why would I? It's so easy to hate it. Like that's kind of how I feel about this series. Like, there are good things I could say about it, but why? Why would I?
Ironically, I find more enjoyment shit-talking this series than I do actually looking for the positives.
Yeah.
But it is also kind of an exercise in the mind to try and pick apart what went wrong. And I feel like that's a great... if you're looking for a good show to find out what not to do in a show and action series, by all means, you should check this out.
I mean, like, if you're brand spanking new to anime, give it a shot.
If you're brand spanking new, you're gonna like this a hell of a lot more than we did.
Yeah, because you got nothing to base it off of.
Yeah, you have nothing to base this off of because a lot of people are like, oh, well, these are all stuff you've seen before. Well, obviously you've never seen anything before. You're not gonna mind, huh?
Yeah.
It's all gonna be very new to you.
So I think that's all we can say about Black Clover. Like, if you're, like an avid anime watcher, give it a shot if you really want to. But like,
or at least watch the first episode.
Yeah,
so if you hate it, you can get on the bandwagon.
I think the best way to watch this series is just wait until it all ends and then just skip any filler there is.
That would be the best way.
I think that's the best way to watch it.
When I was watching Naruto, I had to.
That's how I had to do Naruto.
I had to look up online what are the filler episodes, so I knew what to skip.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're gonna be in for a bad time.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what we're gonna have to say about Black Clover. I mean, hopefully the series gets better, but I think this is it, and this is the end of the video. So.
And I actively wanted to get better.
Yeah. So hopefully it gets better, and this is the end of the video. So like, comment, and subscribe, and do that other stuff. You know what to do.